Hey, I am Natasha Oates, relationship expert here at the Up Company. I want to talk about something really important. This topic is really important, so make sure you share this out. You share this with a friend, you like our page because you do not want to miss any future tips on relationships and self care. So, why are they cheating? Why did they cheat? That is today's topic. This is not an easy topic. This is complicated. But here at the Up Company, not only do we help with relationships, we also help folks who are going through infidelity. Figure out, where do we go from here? Can we salvage this? Can we prevent our family from falling apart? So I offer those tools, and my clients get to decide, are we going to put our big girl and big boy draws on, do this work, and really repair the relationship. So again, if you haven't heard of me or the Up Company, I'm Natasha Oates, award-winning therapist. I love helping couples work on their relationships that maybe they've neglected because they're busy. They got the kids, they got so many distractions going on and ongoing issues. I also help women who they are high performers. They give everything their all at work, in their family circles, in their friend circles. They're the glue, and they're like, honey, I need to figure me out. What helps me? So that's what I do over at the Up Company. Again, today's discussion is around, why do spouses cheat? I want to hear from you all. What do you think are some influences in terms of why, reasons behind spouses cheating? Now, let me make a disclaimer. I'm not saying that because one person does this, this means you just get an okay to go out here and, not and break your vows. I'm not saying that at all, but I wanted to talk about common reasons why people step out of their marriage, outside of their relationship. And what in the world does the healing process look like? Because you might be going through this, or somebody is struggling right now, trying to figure out, do I hold on to this relationship? Can we repair it? Is it worth it? What does the work even look like to help me determine if I want to try to stay? So we're going to get right into it. So some surveying was done, and people shared many reasons of why cheating took place in their relationship. And so I wanted to discuss that today. Um, Definitely, revenge is one of the factors that can come into play. And I think it's something that we hear about a lot, where one spouse, cheats on the other. And the pain, the anger, the betrayal is so deep for that other spouse that was cheated on, that they want them to feel the hurt, the betrayal, the sleepless nights, the imagery. They want them to experience and really get to the core of how much it hurt. And so sometimes people cheat out of revenge. And you gotta imagine that cheating out of revenge surely doesn't help the relationship. Oh, Lord. Let's see. Okay, I'm making sure y'all can hear me. I see my camera's off. If you can hear me, say, we got you. We're with you. If you can hear me, and I'm going to keep on going if you can. I'm going to double check because I don't want to start this. And I find out, oh, good, we're good. Okay, awesome. awesome. Revenge. Okay, revenge. Y'all know I'm not tech savvy. I'm still on the learning curve. Okay. So Facebook is still with us. So revenge. Now, another factor that can play a part with cheating is just constantly being at odds. Constantly. It's always an issue. It's always something, right? There's no peace in the home. It's like I'm just looking for some refuge somewhere where I feel like somebody wants me around, because maybe in the household there's constant friction. And then the other side, the opposite of that could be true. Maybe there's this emotional disconnect. Like, I gotta tell you, when I'm working with couples, it's hard to hear them share, the pain of being married and feeling utter loneliness. Being married, so alone, so overlooked. These things can open a door, right? Now, you don't have to walk through the door. That is a choice. That is not on your partner. Things can be done, but that is a choice. But that does open the door, right? It can. It can. Another factor that can come into play with why would cheat, why someone would step outside their relationship, is that maybe they were not honest with themselves about how ready they were to commit, to be in a committed relationship. I got to tell you, I get to sit and talk with lots of people and understand just the depth of what they're feeling. And some people so yearn companionship and the thought of having a family, having a legacy, having someone to come home to, build with. The thought is a lot different than the reality and the work. And for some people, relationships feel like a trap, like they have lost their sense of freedom, like the control factor, So for some people, they just weren't honest with themselves or had no idea just how bad it is that, yes, they yearn for companionship, but the commitment there. Now, things happen in terms of this next one. Sometimes we go into a relationship and we have unfinished business with a previous relationship. Some people, many people, actually try to heal from the ending of one relationship by getting into another. So this can be a factor for some people when infidelity especially happens with an ex-lover. And we're in the age of social media. So back in the day, maybe you would only see exes at the reunions, the school class reunions, or whatever. But now it's like everyone's connected. There's that additional temptation of being connected to everybody. So not truly being over your ex. I'm going to also say, be careful about proving that you still got it. Okay? Be careful, be cautious, because that could be a factor too. And I'll get more into the self-esteem pieces in a sec. I want to know, are y'all feeling what I'm saying with these different influences when people make the choice to cheat on their spouse? What are you all thinking? Are these sounding right to you, or are there some others that you think should be added? We're just getting started though. If you're just joining me, we are talking about common reasons that people cheat, that they go outside of their relationship for companionship. Okay. And we're going to also talk about what in the world does the recovery process look like? Okay, because maybe you are in that relationship where you're trying to figure out what to do. You're trying to figure out what to do. Do you just throw it all away? Do you try to work on it? Is it even possible? So I want to make sure you feel equipped in what that work looks like so you can decide, is that something you want to take on or not? Or not. Okay, sex drive differences. Sex drive differences. One spouse would like to have intercourse often, the other is uninterested. And it could be for different reasons, like no one's the same, right? And we're going to have differences, including sex drive for some couples, but there could also be a number of factors that affect your desire for sex. It could be how stressed out you are in your life or at work. Do you know that absolutely can impact your sex life? If you're just thinking of all the things you have to do and it feels like your mind is going to explode, trying to keep up with everything, you're just so worn out. Absolutely, it can zap your sex life. Where for one person, maybe they want more as a relief factor. For another person, like I can't do another thing or think about doing anything. So that plays a part. That plays a part. There's many reasons, like hormonal changes. There's all kind of reasons for this, but this can be an underlying factor. And I want you to know, even if this is not your situation, you're in a relationship, like any other relationship, you have some challenges, some ups and downs. Be really cognizant of these factors. That's a way to safeguard, in a sense, right? To do your best in what you can do and what you identify as some areas to address. Okay, continuing on. Continuing on. And I'm going to try to look at some comments. Okay. Oh, I see some comments down here. Thank you. Thank you, Elder Williams, for chiming in and joining us. So, some other reasons people step outside of their relationship: their self esteem. I know you're like, really? What? Remember when I said that comment, be careful about that proving you still got it, right? That need and crave for attention. Now, we're all human, right? We all like attention, right? Most people don't like to be ignored, but you gotta look at, how deep does it take you? How huge is this need? Is this stemming from some other things in your life that cause damage to your self-esteem? Be really honest to yourself about that because it needs to be addressed. It needs to be addressed. Mental health challenges. Mental health challenges can be a factor as well. And not to say for everyone, if you have a mental health condition, automatically going to cheat. None of these are saying if this is present in your relationship, then automatically the person is going to cheat. These are just some things to keep in mind, to address, to communicate about, right? And to seek support, professional support, when definitely needed. For some people, mental health challenges can take them to a place where they do a lot of behaviors, like kind of self-destructive, that anger, that pain turned towards themselves. And it can include doing things that sabotage good relationships. Or it could be, I just need to feel good. I just need, and this is not for everyone, but again, for some. For some. Another factor, if that person is a thrill seeker, they can get bored fairly easily. Being bored in your relationship is definitely something you want to take a look at and address, because it can be a factor, especially depending on how long it's been that way. And especially if at the core of the person, they They need excitement and thrill. And it means that you're going to have to really put a lot of intentionality to create that, because life can be so mundane, chores and kids and work and, you know. So we have to do a lot to create what we need. Okay, I mentioned the self-destructive behaviors. Um, More descriptive for some people who is controlling, is manipulative, is just mistreating them. You know, they might say, you know what, I'm gonna get fulfilled outside of the relationship because of all of this mistreatment. Addiction, right? I need something for me, not just dealing with this chaos. It's kind of like seeking peace, seeking validation, right? So these are some really, really important factors we should be really aware of. And listen, it's okay. Get support, get help. Don't be on the struggle bus. You don't have to. You don't have to. You can get support and to work through it all. Okay. Now, we all have been through some things. And sometimes when you've been through hardships in your life, especially with how you've been treated, you might unintentionally, out of trying to protect yourself, keep yourself safe, it could be so unconscious, you know, you're not aware of it. Let me get them before they get me. Let me give you an example. All men cheat. That's not what I'm saying, but that's what our culture oftentimes perpetuates. You can't trust women. They just want, they just want your money. There's these certain beliefs and ideologies that will convince people that it is okay to step out because they probably doing dirt anyway. You know how people are. You can't trust anyone totally. Maybe even the intimacy, the level of commitment, all of that brings up fear because the inner belief is all men cheat. And why are you putting yourself out there to be vulnerable and to, you know how they are. So really check your beliefs. Check what mama and them told you that you held on to, right? Always, there's a saying I have, always expect the best unless given the worst, verification of the worst. Always expect the best unless you're giving evidence of the worst. Okay? So check your beliefs. Okay, so let me see how y'all doing. Do y'all have any others that you want to add to this? I know that was a list, right? That was a list. Okay. I'm gonna keep looking. If you have reasons you want to add, definitely do add them. We've been talking about common reasons people step out on their relationship, common reasons people cheat, and what in the world does the recovery process even look like if you're in that situation, if someone you know is in that situation and you're considering, whether you want to save your family or not. I wanted to make it really clear in terms of what are the things you can do during the recovery process. And hopefully you are working with a professional to help guide you through it, because it's not a cakewalk. Y'all can probably tell. It's not a cakewalk. It's not easy at all. It's very challenging. And I get the privilege to see people work through it who care enough about the relationship to say, as long as you're giving your all, we're going to work through it. We're going to work through it. We're going to crawl through this mud together. So there's different phases after infidelity happens. What tends to happen, the first phase is it doesn't take much to get upset. Like the emotions are like on a roller coaster ride. high, low, fast, slow. Um, very little things can bring on just incredibly powerful emotions of sadness and anger and regret and all kinds of things. It's a volatile time often. You know, there's just a lot of disagreements, a lot of arguing, a lot of tears. Um, it's rough. It's rough. You can imagine just the pain spilling over. It's almost a sense of what they knew as their family was a lie. You know, just that level of betrayal and sadness and pain. It's a lot. This is normal after infidelity. This is to be expected after infidelity. Okay. The second phase is more so getting quiet a lot more and really thinking about, you know, how did this happen? And are we able and willing to work on this? And then the third phase, if you're actively trying to stay in a relationship and you're getting help, it's more about, okay, we need to have important conversations, not shouting matches. You know, we're having like hard, important conversations about where do we go from here, and we're willing to sit in the pain, not rush it along, but really deal with everything. So let's talk about this work. Let's talk about this work. Um, One of the mistakes I see made like over and over and over and over and over for couples who are in a recovery process after infidelity is usually both or one partner is like, we just need to move on from this. You know, we don't need to keep bringing it up. This is the past. It's like a lot of pushback against facing the pain of what happened. And it makes sense that, you know, hey, if you said you forgive me, then forgive me. And let's move on. And let's not just stay in this misery. But the truth is, the misery is a part of the work. It's a part of the work. The pain, the tears is a part of the work. It's really important in the work to be candid, to be honest about the level of hurt. Because what people unintentionally do is rush it along, not really reveal how broken to the core that this hurts, and rush it along, put a band-aid over it, and meanwhile, so much resentment brews underneath the surface. It's important instead to admit, I gotta own this. This is my fault. The person who stepped out the marriage has to own it instead of pushing their partner to just get over it fast. That's the number one mistake I help my couples with to correct. And also, it's important for that spouse who was betrayed to be vulnerable, share when they're struggling, and to allow their partner to hold the pain with them, to get in that muddy with them, to share, you know what, this was me. I'm incredibly heartbroken that I've hurt you. I own this. You know, I'm here. Really showing consistency with how you show up in a relationship, doing extra things to help your spouse feel more secure, help them feel reassurance that you are giving your all, that you are giving your all. And you can't ever fully know how much you hurt your partner, but they understand on some level that you are trying your hardest to get it and you're willing to feel that pain as well instead of just brush it off to avoid that pain. So continual reassurance is important, and boundaries as well. Um, if there's no boundaries, it's almost like a green light to just do it again. You know, if there's no boundaries, if we have to teach people how we want to be treated at the end of the day, we have to do that. What builds trust back after infidelity is consistency and patience. This work on average is at least a year. It's not a quick fix. It's not. It's progressive. It's not overnight. Okay, I chose to forgive you, and now overnight I'm smiles and giggles. That's unrealistic. Unrealistic. But you have to decide, what are your incremental steps of working towards the connection again. And that's where a therapist like myself can help you through all of these complex problems